Okay, today we're predicting the Cleveland Browns roster. So looking at the roster, the offense looks really good, especially Nick Chubb, and then their wide receivers are good with Cooper and Higgins and Peoples-Jones. I think makes a good trio. Their offensive line obviously has been pretty good for the last couple of years. Offense really hinges on how well Deshaun Watson does, and I think he'll do better, but not like back to his Texans level. The defense though is where I have a problem. I don't think their defense is that good. They do have a good defensive line with Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith, but everything everywhere else is just not that good to me. I don't think their linebacker. I don't think um is that good, or he's fine, but he's nothing like amazing. Their safeties. I don't think Juan Thornhill. He has an injury history. I'm worried about him, and their cornerbacks aren't anything special. Denzel Ward is good, but Greedy Williams is probably not. Is nothing more than average. So your first game versus the Bengals. It is a divisional game, so it's hard to predict. But the Bengals defense, I think, is still very good, but similar to the Browns, or they did lose a couple of pieces, especially in their secondary, like Jesse Bates. And this being the first game, I think the Browns can take advantage of that Bengals defense. And this is and the Bengals also have a very good offense, but this is divisional game, so I'm giving it to the Browns. Then you have another week 2 game versus the Steelers. Steelers to me have a very tough defense and still a very good offense, and the Browns don't really do well against Steelers until like recently, but I'm still giving it to the Steelers here. Then you have them versus the Titans. Titans just got Hopkins, and they still have Derrick Henry. They can definitely pulverize that Browns defense, especially if DeAndre Hopkins. I think this is his coming out game, but the Titans defense is still good, but they aren't like I don't think they'll be as good as they were last year. And I think the Browns offense is gonna win them the game. So I'm gonna give it to the Browns here. Then you have a game versus the Ravens. It is a divisional game. It's really hard to tell, but Browns and Ravens usually split. And I think the Ravens are more experienced at this point. And the Ravens defense, I think, will cause too much problems for Deshaun Watson. So I'm gonna give it to the Ravens. Then you have a bye. Then you have them versus the Niners. Niners to me are just way too talented. Even the Browns coming off a bye, I think the Browns defense will struggle versus the 49ers skill position players. So I'm giving it to the 49ers. Then you have them versus the Colts. Colts, Jonathan Taylor, I think, can dictate this game. I think Colts have a decent defense. I think the Browns offense can have a good game though, but Colts have home field advantage. I'm giving it to the Colts. Then you have a game versus the Seahawks. Similarly, Seahawks have a very good offense, a very good skill position players, and I think the Seahawks improved their secondary too much so I'm going to take the Seahawks. Then you have a game versus Cardinals. Cardinals are pretty much rebuilding, so I'm giving it to the Browns. Then you have them versus the Ravens. Ravens, um, this is a divisional game. I don't see the Ravens sweeping the Browns, so I'm giving it to the Browns here. Similarly, against the Steelers, Browns have been recently doing better against the Steelers, so I don't think the Steelers are going to sweep the Browns. So I'm giving it to the Browns. Then you have the Broncos. Broncos, for one, have home field advantage. I think the Broncos defense is still very good, not as good as last year, but I do think they're good enough to shut down Nick Chubb. And I think Broncos offense is better than the Browns defense and will have better success than the Browns. So I'm giving it to the Broncos here. Then you have a game versus the Rams. Rams still have big home field advantage though, so this one's going to be tight. But I think the Rams just are not a good team. No matter what people say, so I'm giving it to the Browns. Then you have a game versus the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley, the skill position players like Evan Ingram and Travis Etienne, I think will be too much for the Browns defense. And the Jaguars defense isn't great, but they're not slouching. I expect this to be an offensive game, but and I trust Trevor Lawrence more than I do Deshaun Watson, so I'm giving it to the Jaguars. Then you have a game versus the Bears. Similarly, I don't really trust the Bears either. I don't think the Bears defense is that good. I think Nick Chubb and Amari Cooper can run all over that Bears defense, and the Bears offense can be trouble, but I don't see that happening. I'm giving it to the Browns. Then you have a game versus the Texans. The Texans did bring in a lot of new pieces, but it's late in the season, and I really want the Texans to beat Deshaun Watson, so I'm giving it to the Texans. Then you have them versus the Jets. Jets have a really good defense. I think they can pretty much shut down Nick Chubb, and even and shut down Amari Cooper and Browns offense. And I trust the Jets offense more than I trust the Browns defense. So I'm giving it to the Jets. Then you have a game versus the Bengals. I cannot see the Bengals getting swept by the Browns, so I'm giving it to the Bengals here. So Indian after the Browns going 7-10, 3-3 in the division, 5-4 home and 2-6 away.